The sky was burning above him. Flames roared from the back of his ship as it fell through the thick green clouds. The control panel was broken. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. The human pilot, Daniel, gripped the seat tightly as the ground rushed toward him, then dash crash. The world went black. Hours passed, maybe more. When Daniel opened his eyes, he was lying on the ground outside his ship. The wreck was behind him, half buried in the jungle. Smoke still rose from it, curling into the thick air. He sat up slowly. His head hurt, his suit was torn. But he was alive. Where am I? He whispered. Tall trees with strange twisting branches reached for the sky. The air was warm and thick with scent flowers, moss, something sweet, and something else. Something. Watching, he reached for his comms device, broken, his emergency beacon, crushed. He had no way to contact anyone. He was alone. Or so he thought. Leaves rustled nearby. He turned quickly. Nothing. Just more jungle, more silence. He walked carefully through the underbrush, stepping over thick roots and odd glowing mushrooms. Then, he heard it. A laugh. Soft, feminine. He froze. Another laugh behind him this time. Then silence again. His heart raced. "Hello," he called. "Is someone there?" No reply. But something was definitely there. Hours passed. Daniel found a small stream and drank. He cleaned the blood off his forehead and rested by a mossy rock. But as the sun began to fade behind the trees, he saw them dash finally, eyes, dozens of glowing, violet eyes. They stood between the trees, silent, tall figures, all of them, women, alien women. Their skin was pale and smooth. Their hair was long and silver, flowing like water. They wore simple, soft robes made of vines and silk. Their ears were long and pointed, their faces beautiful, but unreadable, and all of them were staring at him. Daniel stood slowly, raising his hands. "I mean no harm," he said, voice shaking. One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the rest, with gold jewelry on her arms and neck. She looked into his eyes. "You are human?" she asked, in slow, careful English. He nodded. "Yes, I crashed. My ship, you are the first." In a very long time, more women stepped closer. One touched his hair. Another touched his chest. He backed away, nervous. "Please, I just want to go home." The tall woman shook her head. "There is no way off this world. Not now." Daniel looked around. He was completely surrounded. Then the woman said something that made his blood run cold. "You will stay here. With us, you belong to the tribe now." He swallowed hard. "Wait, what do you mean by that?" She turned to the others and spoke in their native language. They all nodded. Some smiled. Some just stared. "No man has been here in many years," she said softly. "We thought your kind was extinct." A younger woman stepped forward and whispered something in her ear. The leader nodded, then looked back at Daniel. "You will be taken to the village, fed, rested, watched." "Watched," he repeated. "Yes," she said. "You are the only man. That makes you important." Two of the younger women came and gently pulled his arms. He didn't resist. What choice did he have? As they led him deeper into the jungle, Daniel couldn't help but wonder, was he safe? Or was he a prisoner? He looked back one last time at the broken ship. Then forward at the alien women surrounding him. He was lost, but something told him he was not alone anymore. Daniel sat quietly in the middle of a round hut made from white tree bark and glowing leaves. The inside was warm, filled with the smell of strange flowers and smoke from a soft fire. Alien symbols were carved into the wooden walls. He looked around. No doors, Only an open arch, guarded by two tall alien women holding curved blades made of bone and crystal. He wasn't tied, he wasn't locked in. But it was clear he wasn't free to go either. The village was alive outside. Daniel could hear soft voices, music made from windpipes and drums, and the hum of animals he didn't recognize. One of the guards stepped in. She had deep blue eyes and short silver hair. She stared at him like he was something strange. "You eat now," she said simply. She placed a plate in front of him. It had fruits that glowed blue, flatbread made from roots, and a thick red drink. Daniel looked at it with caution. "Is this safe?" he asked. The woman didn't answer. She just crossed her arms and stood watching. He took a small bite. Sweet. Then another. The food was actually good. A few minutes later, the tall leader from before entered the hut. She sat across from him, her golden bands shining in the firelight. "My name is Salika," she said. "I am the elder of the tribe. You may speak." Daniel sat straighter. "My name is Daniel. I crashed here. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want to contact my people." Salika tilted her head. "You cannot. There is no machine powerful enough here. And no skybird has flown over this land in 100 years. I can build something," he offered. "If I can find tech. Maybe I can send a signal." Salika shook her head. "You do not understand. You are not allowed to leave." Daniel froze. "Why not?" Her eyes turned sharp. "Because the last man tried to leave. He lied. He hurt our people. And he brought more men who only took and destroyed. After that, we ended all contact." Daniel's heart sank. "That wasn't me." Salika nodded. "But you are a man, and here, that means danger." She stood up and walked slowly around him. "Our tribe is strong. Live in peace. The young do not even remember your kind. Some fear you. Others are curious." Daniel clenched his fists. "You said I'm important, but I'm not your prisoner." Salika stopped walking. "You are not in chains, but you are not free either." Silence hung between them. "I don't want to be worshipped," he said. "I don't want to be feared. I just want to go home." "You are home now," Salika replied calmly, "till we decide otherwise." Daniel stood, trying to keep his voice steady. "What do you want from me?" Salika's eyes softened a little. "Nothing. Yet you will rest. Eat, walk only where allowed. No tools, no machines, no secrets. And if I don't agree," she looked him in the eyes, "then you'll meet the same fate as the last male." Daniel sat down slowly again, heart pounding. Salika turned and left the hut. The guard followed. Later that night, a soft knock came at the edge of the arch. A young girl entered, no older than 20 in human years. Her skin was silver pale, and her eyes were large and green. She looked nervous. "I'm Aliyah," she whispered, looking over her shoulder. "I'm not supposed to talk to you." Daniel nodded slowly. "Then why are you here?" She walked in and sat beside him. "Because I've read about humans. My mother has old books from before the silence. She told me men were dangerous, but also brave, kind, strong. I wanted to see for myself." Daniel smiled faintly. "And what do you think now that you've seen me?" Ilya blushed. "You look tired." He chuckled. "That's fair." She pulled out a small glowing rock. "Hide this. It lets you see light trails left by metal. If you want to fix something, you'll need it." Daniel took it, surprised. "Why are you helping me?" She looked into his eyes. "Because maybe you're not like the last one." Then she was gone. Outside, the village slept. But Daniel couldn't. He lay awake, holding the glowing rock, listening to the alien sounds of the forest. He wasn't just lost on this planet now. He was part of something much bigger, and he had to be careful, because the next mistake could be his last. The next morning, Daniel woke to a soft, humming sound. It was not a machine. It was a voice. He stepped out of the hut and followed the sound through a narrow path between glowing trees. The air was still cool, and morning fog floated low across. The ground, birds with glass-like wings flew above, singing strange tunes. Ahead, he saw a group of alien women sitting in a circle. Their hair was long and braided, their faces calm. In the center sat a very old woman, her back bent, her hands wrinkled like dry leaves. She was humming softly, eyes closed. Daniel stood behind a tree and watched. "She is called Mother Uriah," whispered a voice beside him. He turned. It was Elia again, quiet and serious. "She remembers the old time," she said, "when men still came from the sky." Daniel glanced back at the elder. "Does she remember? The last man?" Leah nodded. She knew him. He stayed here for a while. Daniel's voice dropped. "What happened to him?" Elia didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, "He broke hearts. He broke promises. And then brought fire." Daniel felt a chill crawl down his spine. Elia looked up at him. "But you are not him. At least I hope not." Later that day, Salika called Daniel to sit with the elders. The circle was made of old women with sharp eyes and quiet voices. They didn't smile. "You must understand something," Salika said. "We do not fear you for your muscles or your tools. We fear your lies." Another elder, with sunken cheeks and a broken voice, added, "The last man promised peace. But he sent a signal. More men came. They wanted to trade, but they also wanted control. They brought weapons. One night, they tried to take the queen." Daniel leaned forward. "Did she survive?" "She survived," the elder replied, "but the peace did not." Daniel looked down at his hands. "I would never do that." "Maybe," Salika said. "That is why we have not ended you." He didn't speak. There was nothing more he could say. That night, he was given permission to walk freely only near the village. He took slow steps through the jungle paths, touching tree bark, watching alien creatures move in the leaves. Then, near the edge of a waterfall, he found something strange. Stone ruins, tall pillars covered in old carvings, and in the center, metal post, half buried and rusted, with a human symbol on it. Earth letters. DSA, Deep Space Alliance. His heart skipped a beat. That was his own organization. He pulled at the dirt. A small piece of panel came loose. It was part of a signal booster. Someone had tried to build a transmitter here. Maybe it's the last man. Or maybe someone else. Suddenly, a voice behind him said, "You found it." It was Elia. She stepped from behind a tree, holding a glowing cloth. "I hoped you would." Daniel showed her the symbol. "This is from Earth. My world." Elia nodded. He used it to send a message. The one who came before. But he sent it in secret. And when the others came, they brought warships, not peace. Daniel clenched the metal in his hand. "Then, I'll do the opposite. I'll build a signal, but only if your people agree. No secrets." Elia smiled. "That is what makes you different." They sat on the old stone ledge, listening to the waterfall. "I read the old books," Elia said softly. "They said men were partners, not rulers." Daniel looked at her. "That's what they should be." Elia stood up and looked at the sky. "Then maybe. This time, the ending will be different." Before she left, she handed him something smaller, round metal coin. Old and rusted. On it was a name. Captain Reese. Daniel whispered, "He was the last one." Elia nodded. "Yes, and his story is buried in both memory and fear." As the stars appeared above, Daniel looked at the broken transmitter again. He was not the first man here, but maybe. He could be the first to stay without bringing ruin. Maybe. He could be the one who changed the ending. Night fell quietly over the alien village, but Daniel could not sleep. His mind kept returning to the name on that old metal coin. Captain Reese, the man who brought destruction. The one they feared. The one whose name still made the elders whisper in anger. But deep inside, Daniel believed the story was not complete. There had to be more. That's why he followed the stone path through the center of the village. Past the sleeping huts and glowing lanterns, toward the one place Ilya had warned him about. The old temple, a place no one spoke of. A place where men were not allowed to go. It stood like a broken monument, hidden behind thorny vines and strange, twisted trees. Carvings of ancient faces lined its walls. Some smiling, others weeping. Moss and time had eaten away parts of the structure, but the energy around it felt alive. Daniel stepped inside, holding a branch as a torch. The inside was silent. Dust danced in the air. The floor was smooth stone but cracked. Symbols glowed. Faintly on the walls, pulsing slowly like breathing light. He moved deeper, passing old weapons, broken tablets, and walls lined with paintings, beautiful alien women standing with men beside them. Not as masters, not as enemies, but as equals. And then he found the door. Large steel, locked with something strange. A puzzle made of shifting panels. Daniel stared at it. He remembered Ilya's glowing stone. He pulled it from his pocket and held it near the panels. The lock blinked, then clicked. The door opened slowly. Inside was a small, dark room. A round table in the center, and on the floor, bones. Human bones. Daniel's stomach tightened. A skull rested near a torn uniform. Beside it's an old datapad. He picked it up. To his shock, it still worked. A message played in a weak voice. "This is Captain Reese. Day 89. I tried to bring peace, but they didn't trust me. And when I sent the signal, others came. Soldiers, not helpers. The elders fought. Many died. I was blamed. Maybe I deserved it. Static, then more. I loved one of them. Her name was Sale. She believed in me. She died trying to stop the others. I never forgave myself." Silence. Daniel sat on the stone floor, heart heavy. This wasn't a monster's final message. It was a man filled with regret. Suddenly, footsteps outside. He turned quickly, hiding the datapad under his shirt. The door creaked, and Ilya stepped in, her eyes wide with fear. "What are you doing here?" she whispered sharply. "This room is forbidden. You should not be here." Daniel stood slowly. "I had to know the truth." She looked at the bones. "You found him?" Daniel nodded. He wasn't evil. He made a mistake, but he cared. Ilya walked closer, voice low. "If the elders find you here, they will punish you. They may even exile you. Then they need to hear the whole story," Daniel said. "Not just the part that hurts them." Ilya's eyes softened. "You are brave, or foolish." He smiled sadly. "Maybe?" "Both." She looked around, then whispered, "Come. We must leave before morning." They slipped out of the temple, back into the dark village. But they were not alone. A shadow moved near the trees. Another figure stepped forward. It was Salika. She stared at them, her expression calm but unreadable. "I warned you," she said. Softly, "Some doors are not meant to be opened." Daniel didn't flinch. "Captain Reese tried to help. I heard his last words. He loved someone here. He didn't mean to bring war." Salika walked closer, her eyes locked on his. "Love can still bring death. Hope can still lead to ruin." But hiding the truth won't heal the past, Daniel replied. Let me show you what he left behind. She held out her hand. Give me the device. Slowly, Daniel handed her the data pad. She held it for a long time, listening to the message in silence. When it ended, she looked away. And for the first time, he saw tears in her eyes. I was a girl when it happened, she whispered. Sale was my sister. Daniel stepped back, shocked. Then you know what he felt. I know, she said, voice shaking. But pain changes people. It changes memory. We turned a story of love into a story of fear. She looked at him. Again, you opened a door tonight. And now you must walk through it. Daniel nodded. Then let's walk through it together. And for the first time, she didn't say no. By morning, the village was no longer quiet. A bell made of carved stone echoed across the forest trees. Women stopped what they were doing. Elders stepped from their huts. Even the youngest ones gathered near the sacred circle, where all major decisions were made. Daniel stood in the middle of it. Around him sat the High Council, 7 of the oldest and wisest women in the tribe, each with hair like silver rivers and faces carved by time. They sat on tall wooden thrones, and their expressions showed no kindness, only questions. Salika stood beside Daniel. She had called for this meeting, not to punish him, but to put the truth in front of all. Elias stood behind the crowd, hands pressed together, praying silently. One of the elders, Meroa, spoke first. This man broke sacred law. He entered the forbidden place. He touched the remains of the cursed one. Why should we let him live? Another elder, Thari, asked coldly. Is he any different from the last one? Daniel took a deep breath. I heard Captain Reese's message. He didn't betray you. He made a mistake. A terrible one, yes. But he never meant to bring war. You say this because he was like you, Thari snapped. A man. Salika raised her hand. Enough. The crowd quieted. This is not about gender, she said, voice strong. This is about memory. And truth. I knew my sister Sale. She loved the man you hate. I saw her eyes. She believed in him. Maybe we've buried too much under fear. Whispers moved through the crowd. Meroa folded her arms. So what now? We forgive everything. We welcome him into our homes. Daniel spoke up again. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for a chance. Let me earn your trust. Let me help. An elder scoffed. Help with what? Daniel looked around. Your defenses are old. Your light towers barely work. I saw tools in the old temple. Machines you no longer use. I can fix them. I can teach your people how to maintain them again. A pause, Salika added. He already started repairing a signal dish, he told me, but only if we agree. He didn't. Do it in secret. That part mattered. Thari looked thoughtful. And if we say no? Daniel nodded slowly. Then I'll stop. I won't fight you, but you'll lose the chance to move forward. The council whispered among themselves. Their voices were low, old, and full of doubt. Finally, Elder Meroa raised her hand. Then we vote. Each elder was given a glowing stone, red for no, green for yes. They stood one by one, raising their color. Meroa, red. Thari, red. Vea, red. Nyona, green. Lure, green. Sithe, green. 3 and 3. Only one vote left. Sale Ka. She stood slowly, looked at Daniel. Then at the crowd. Then at the old women beside her, and raised a glowing green stone. Gasps spread through the crowd. Salika spoke. He stays. But under our law, he walks among us not as a ruler or an outsider, but as one who serves. Daniel nodded. That's all I wanted. But not everyone was happy. Elder Thari stood and looked Daniel in the eye. If you break even one promise, human, we will not hesitate next time. I understand, he said. The council rose and the meeting ended. The crowd slowly spread out. Some girls looked at Daniel with smiles. Others avoided his eyes. The tribe was unsure. But curious, Elia ran to him, eyes bright. You did it. No, Daniel replied softly. We did it. That evening, Salika visited his hut. She sat across from him in silence for a while. When? My sister died, she began. I told myself no man would ever walk in this village again. But I also remember how happy she was before the war came. I remember how she laughed. Daniel listened quietly. Don't make me regret this, she said. I won't, he promised. Before leaving, she said, tomorrow you may begin your work, but Ilya will watch you. She will be your guide and your witness. Daniel smiled. That's more than fair. As the stars lit the sky again, Daniel sat by the window of his hut. He was no longer just a stranger. He was a choice, a risk, a test for a tribe that hadn't trusted a man in years. And now, everything rested on what he did next. The next few days moved like slow wind through the trees. Daniel was no longer watched, like a wild animal. The curious stares softened. Some women still kept their distance. Others now greeted him with cautious nods. He worked quietly in the mornings, repairing the tribe's broken machines' water purifiers, old lanterns, and a tower that once served as a signal receiver. He never touched the comms unit, not yet. That was the one thing the elders had not approved. Elia stayed close by his side, always watching, always asking questions. Sometimes she helped him hold tools or translate words. She was quick, eager to learn, and her presence brought peace to his tired mind. But something darker was growing under the surface. Elder Thari had not spoken to him since the council meeting. And one afternoon, Daniel found that the power crystal he had hidden for the signal dish was missing. Someone was trying to stop him. That night, as Daniel sat outside his hut, Ilya arrived with a warning in her eyes. Someone wants you gone, she whispered. They say you've tricked Salika, that you're rebuilding something dangerous. Daniel sighed. I haven't sent any signal. I promised. Ilya looked around, lowered her voice further. They don't believe you. Some want you to disappear. And tomorrow, the vote may shift again. Daniel stared into the jungle. His hands trembled slightly. I can't leave now. Not when everything's just beginning to change. Ilya touched his arm. Then you must do something bold. Something that proves who you really are. Daniel looked at her. Like what? Before she could answer, thunder cracked across the sky. The air turned sharp. Cold wind rolled through the village. The storm season, Ilya said quickly. We must get inside. But before they could run, a scream echoed through the forest. Help! The scouts are still out. Salika rushed into the village square. 2 hunters were caught beyond the cliffs. They haven't returned. Panic spread fast. Trees began to shake from strong winds. I'll go, Daniel said, stepping forward. Salika froze. No, you're not one of them. You don't know the terrain. I do now, he said. Ilya showed me the paths. I know where. The cliffs are... Thari's voice cut through the storm. Let him go. If he's truly loyal to this tribe, let him prove it tonight. Salika narrowed her eyes, but finally nodded. Take light. Be quick. If you don't return by moonrise, we close the gates. Daniel grabbed a torch and a rope and ran. Ilya followed without a word. The jungle was madness. Rain poured from glowing clouds. Lightning lit the strange trees in flashes. They reached the cliffs, slippery and sharp. Below, through the mist, Daniel saw movement. Two alien women clung to a fallen tree on the edge of a pit. One had a broken leg. "Hold on." Daniel shouted. He tied the rope around a thick root. "Lower me slowly," he told Aaliyah. She nodded, gripping the rope with both hands. Daniel descended carefully, slipping once, nearly falling. But he made it. "I've got you," he said to the injured one, lifting her onto his back. The other woman climbed with him. The climb up was harder. The rain was stronger now, but they made it. Ilya pulled the rope with all her strength. When they reached the top, all three collapsed in the mud, breathing hard. "You came for us," whispered one of the hunters. Daniel smiled weakly. "Of course, you're part of the tribe, right?" By the time they returned, the storm had begun to fade. The entire village was waiting. When they saw Daniel carrying the injured woman on his back, silence fell. Then, one by one, the tribe began to bow their heads. Not in worship, not in fear, but in respect. Celica stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. "You had the choice to run, to save yourself, but you didn't." Daniel stood straight. "I didn't come here to rule. I came here to help." Even Thari, who had doubted him the most, said nothing. Her face was hard, but her eyes showed something new, understanding. That night, they gave Daniel a new place to sleep. Not on the edge of the village, but in the heart of it. Among them, morning sunlight touched the leaves like golden fire, and for the first time, Daniel felt like he belonged. He no longer walked the village as a stranger. The children no longer hid from him. They ran beside him, laughed at his jokes, and asked him to fix little things like toys and tools. Women nodded at him with trust in their eyes. Even the guards who once watched him silently now greeted him by name. The broken machines Daniel had repaired now glowed softly at night. Water flowed clean through the village again. And the central lantern, dark for decades, now stood tall and lit light, reaching far into the jungle. But one task still waited. The signal tower. He stood at its base that morning with Ilya, holding the last piece, the power crystal she had secretly saved for him. "I'm ready," he said. Aili looked at him. "If you activate it, someone might answer. Someone from your world." Daniel nodded. "I know. And if they come?" She paused. "Will you leave?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at the trees, the village, the smiling faces of people who once feared him. "I'm not sure anymore," he said softly. He climbed the tower and placed the crystal in its slot. The lights blinked to life, and a low hum filled the air. The transmitter was online. He didn't send a message yet. Not yet. He would wait. That evening, Celica called a gathering. The whole tribe came together around the fire circle. She stood beside Daniel and Aliyah. Her voice was calm, yet strong. "We have lived without men for many years, and we survived. But something was always missing. Not a man to lead us, but a partner to walk beside us." She looked at Daniel. He came from the sky, and at first we feared he would bring ruin. But he brought light. He brought courage. He saved our daughters. He gave us hope. The tribe fell silent. The flames flickered gently. Celica continued. "Tonight, we welcome Daniel not as an outsider, but as one of us." Daniel stepped forward. "You saved me too," he said, voice steady. "You gave me shelter, food, and even after fear you gave me a second chance. I don't want to leave, not now, not ever. If you'll have me." The crowd erupted in soft cheers. Elia's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. Later that night, under the stars, Daniel stood near the signal tower again. His finger hovered above the send button. One message could bring rescue ships, bring human contact, bring his old life back. But he looked down at the village, the glowing huts, the music, the laughter. And her. Elia sat by the fire, her silver hair shining under the moonlight, and he pulled his hand away. The message could wait, maybe forever. Months passed. Seasons changed, and with time, a new tradition began. Daniel taught the younger ones to fix things, to build. In return, he learned their stories, their history, their songs. Elia became his partner in all things. They laughed together, worked, side by side. One day, Salika visited him, a goon older now. Slower in her steps. The tribe is growing again, she said gently, and it is no longer afraid. Daniel smiled. That's good. She looked him in the eyes. You changed everything. Not because you were strong, but because you were kind. And then she said something no one had ever said before. Daniel would never forget. Welcome home, son. Years later, children with mixed eyes, some blue, some violetron across the fields, laughing in both human and alien languages, and far above. In the stars, the Earth ships kept searching, but the one man they lost never truly wanted to be found again, because he had already found something far more rare, a place where he was needed, trusted, and finally loved.